Motherfucker.
You kinda... We're not all here for... start off.
Sorry about that. Whoa! Welcome to the Pinfall Podcast. I'm your host, Liz. I'm joined as always, fuck me, by my co-host, Marcus.
Hello. We had a huge Aew Dynamite today with the return of Kenny by God Omega. Continuing the feud between Mox and Punk, and even the announcement that that match between them is no longer at All Out and will instead be next week.
I'm not keen on that, but
yeah, unless they have like a match to unify the belts next week. Someone wins and then Mox is like, no, we do a Texas death match at All Out. Or MJF comes back and it's Punk versus MJF for the title at All Out. Probably not, but
there's options, but yeah.
But the biggest thing to talk about is Kenny returning. He looks fantastic. He looks jacked as shit. And he's got a little bit rust still. It's been over 200 days since he wrestled.
Yeah.
But the dude is still damn good.
Yeah, he looked tired and it made me a little nervous, but I'm hoping that he's kind of playing into it a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, it seemed like that was kind of the thing with like his fucked up knee at one point in the match where he acted like he couldn't run. He acted more dazed than normal. But I think that's just him being really good at selling. Now, before we get into the episode or even the news, we should talk about how we made predictions for the Trios tournament, since that kind of kicks off within the episode. So,
yeah,
we predicted on every match, kind of bracket style, like March Madness style. So the first matchup, Andrade, El Idolo, Dragon Lee, and Roosh versus the Bucks and Kenny. We both picked the Bucks and Kenny to win. Death Triangle versus United Empire. We both picked United Empire. House of Black versus Dark Order on the other side of the bracket. I picked Dark Order. Liz, who'd you pick?
House of Black.
You picked House of Black, so we were opposing there. I think, personally, that Hangman's going to be siding with Dark Order after seeing Kenny come back for the Bucks. So then, Trustbusters versus Best Friends. We both picked Best Friends. And then now to the semifinals. The left side of the bracket, the semifinals, we both picked the Bucks and Kenny to win. On the right side of the bracket, I picked Dark Order. You once again picked House of Black. And then we both, for the finals, picked Bucks and Kenny. So I think there is a chance for tie. Yeah, there is a chance for tie, but there could also be one of us could walk away with it.
Yeah.
So, now that we got that out of the way, you want to talk about some news?
Yeah. Not a ton of news. If I'm being perfectly honest. The best piece of news is that the Yankees are back from rain delay.
Nice. The way I see it, when it comes to wrestling, no news is good news.
That's absolutely true. We can start by talking about the fact that we're allowed to say wrestlers in a wrestling ring, so we may as well fucking wrestle.
Hell yeah.
also, apparently Mustafa and Cedric are a tag team now, like an actual tag team.
Mm.
Not just wrestling together, but like an actual tag team.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about... Let's save WWE, or AEW, sorry. Let's save AEW for last, by going in and trying to get to my bookmarks. All right. So let's talk about Impact, I guess, first. Apparently, it is official at Lone Star Stampede, which is going to be August 26th. The Good Brothers are finally facing Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. Thank fucking God.
Yeah, and they're probably going to lose their titles, especially considering that they were in the most recent episode of the G1. They were in a 8-man tag siding with Bullet Club with those Impact tag titles. But considering they're back in Japan, I am sure they want to take it easy with their travel schedule and not have to travel continents so much.
Yes. I think that it really only makes sense. And I think also at the same time, I mean, the Good Brothers really haven't been... I think that the Good Brothers have kind of isolated the titles away from Impact in that they don't feel like the Impact tag titles anymore. And part and parcel because they really haven't been working for those titles lately.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they haven't been on Impact too much, maybe on like little promos. But that's really it.
And I think that should the titles land in the hands of OGK, that kind of I think that brings the titles back into Impact. And it gives Honor No More like some credence.
It does. Which is definitely something they need, but even if they did win those titles, they'd still be a bunch of losers.
Mark, are you beefing with Honor No More?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fucking beefing with Honor No More. More like Honor Lose More.
Do you have like a feud set up with them for Impact or something?
Yeah. I'm gonna tag team with Scott D'Amore against OGK.
Oh, okay. Can't wait to see how that turns out.
And then it's gonna be a 1-on-6 handicap match.
But I thought you were tagging with Scott D'Amore.
It was 2 different matches.
Oh, okay.
I can handle them all on my own, but I also wanted to give Scott a shot to get some comeuppance.
That's fair. That's nice of you. Speaking of Scott D'Amore, somebody is negotiating with Scott D'Amore and the rest of Impact. Deonna Purrazzo, her contract is set to expire very, very soon. So it's looking like she's trying to negotiate with Scott D'Amore. Right now, obviously, Chelsea Green is not working under contract with Impact. So it's an interesting little kerfuffle they have there.
Dude, if I'm Scott, I am shelling out however much money it would require to keep Deonna on, because she is...
Oh my God.
She is the best of that women's roster. Like, she is incredible. Like I know we hadn't watched Impact much last year, but we were very much considering Deonna Purrazzo for female wrestler of the year, just because she's had that much impact, pun unintended, in the wrestling world, especially with how dominant her Knockouts reign was.
Yeah. And I think that it'd be a shame to lose her, especially now Vex has the titles for tag team.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's looking... I think that I would say that's looking hopeful. I can't imagine that Impact would let her go.
Yeah. And I mean, say Scott does not re-sign her or does not does not fulfill her needs financially. Um, does she go to AEW? I don't like. Yeah, she would. She would be great in that roster, but
If you're a women's wrestler, I think you're going to WWE if you want to get airtime.
yeah, Tony Khan's not looking too bright for women's wrestlers. I think Triple
No.
H might be where you want to be. In fact, a female-led company led by Stephanie McMahon might be where you want to be. And I think considering Deanna and Chelsea already have history with WWE, and like that's where the whole Vexed came from, and where this tag team originated, I think it's very likely that they could go back. And plus,
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it with W. Morrissey. W. Morrissey, after his falling out with WWE, made a killing on Impact and completely reinvigorated who he was as a wrestler, reinvigorated his character and his presence. Deanna has done the exact same, and both of them, I think, are easy choices for Triple H and Stephanie to pick up.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what Impact is helping these wrestlers do, is reinvent themselves to be to branch out into the bigger two. I think right now WWE seems like the better choice of the two, but
Yeah. If I were her agents, I'd be like, got one phone like for Impact, one phone for WWE, just like pressed to my ears at this point.
yeah, I mean, she would absolutely stand out in that roster. Like, imagine the matches Deanna could have, like Deanna versus Becky Lynch, Deanna versus fucking Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair. Like she would be a star in that roster.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully she finds her way.
Yeah.
Um, in some NJPW news, in case you were wondering, nothing exciting is happening. The G1 finals have been decided. It was Okada versus Tamatonga and Will Osprey versus Naito, which, guess what? It's Will Osprey versus Okada at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean,
If you're watching NJPW for something exciting and new, you're not getting it.
well, yes, Tama Tonga absolutely should have beat Okada, especially if you watch the match. Like it was there. The crowd was roaring for Tama Tonga. Like they shouted for Tama Tonga to fucking win. You would never believe that if you heard that like a year or two ago. And at the very least, Okada versus Osprey is better than Okada versus Naito for the fourth time this year. And commentary was also talking about how, Osprey turned his back on Okada to join United Empire. And that's the story behind this match going forward. I think it'll be fun, but at the same time, we also got a new first time match, which was Naito versus Osprey. That's apparently never happened before.
Yeah. Saying I'd rather watch Zack versus Osprey for the 13th time, but whatever, it's fine. Not the point.
Tama Tonga versus Osprey. That'd be better.
Well, yeah, I mean, for what we were given, that's what we should have gotten. Or Tamatonga versus Naito, either way.
I still think the final should have been. Oh no, it couldn't have been. The semifinals should have been Shingo versus Naito, and then get Tom Lawler up in the finals. Or you know what? Jonah would have been a better choice because Jonah was like killing it in the G1. He beat Okada. I feel like he should have been the one to go to the finals, lose to like Naito.
Well, apparently they still made Lawler look good in this past episode in that he kind of manhandled Zack. Were it not for Royce Isaacs getting in and Zack crumpling the poor lad.
I don't know if you saw the
apparently,
clip. Oh, sorry, finish.
I was just gonna say that apparently Lawler kind of overpowered Zach. So they still have him look, and they did it, the right way. They have him looking good. They have Zach winning. So
yeah, I'm hoping Tom Lawler and Royce Isaacs remain a mainstay in New Japan Prime going forward, because Tom Lawler's meshed really well with all those guys.
Yeah.
But did you see Royce Isaacs came out dressed up as Taichi?
I did hear that was happening, yes.
It was so great. And then Taichi was like pointing to his mic, which was also conveniently down by his penis, and was like, that was really small.
I think that they're setting up for Tag League here. Honestly, seeing Dangerous Techers back together for real. And being billed as Dangerous Techers, which,
yeah,
it was a little questionable at first. I think that's what they're setting up for, because that's the only way Zach's going to win a fucking title again. But yeah, I do hope that Lawler stays. I hope Isaac stays as well. They work really well in Japan Prime.
Yeah, I also hope that sometime before Wrestle Kingdom, Zach takes that U.S. title off Billy No Brains, because that could put something on the line between him and Danielson.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, if nothing changes from here to then, Danielson will beat Zach, without a doubt.
I don't know. Danielson passed out to Garcia.
Yeah, but Danielson ended up winning against Garcia, as we will get into in the future.
He also passed out a second time today. We've been going on much longer than we should have about the G1.
Yeah.
After we get through the recap, I'll go through how our predictions are doing so far with that.
Right on. Let's talk about WWE, yeah?
Sure.
Apparently Sasha Banks was the victim of a car break-in.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, not great. She apparently shared some photos, and apparently somebody smashed in her back windshield, which she kind of took in good, not good fun, I wouldn't say, obviously.
She was in good spirits about it.
She wasn't super upset, I guess, because she tweeted 5 minutes in Oakland, just 5. So, and I guess all they stole were hair products, so it wasn't anything super severe. I think the biggest damage is probably her car windshield, or her back windshield. But so
even then,
glad that she's okay. Glad that everything is fine for the most part. Yeah. Feel bad for her though. I guess shit happens.
Yeah.
Crazy car to break into though.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that like the best car to break into? The one that's like owned by a rich person. There'll be no problem replacing the windshield, and no harm really.
Yeah, I think it was caught on camera though, so I guess maybe not your best move.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, insurance will replace that, I'm sure, because it looked like a newer car. So, but anyways, sorry, Sasha. Also, Freddie Prinze Jr. is doing his rounds. He is on the talk media circuit. He has now come out and said that, and this might shock you, so sit down, hold tight. Apparently, Vince McMahon backstage was super racist and culturally ignorant.
What?
And that dictated a lot of how the storylines were presented during the time that Freddie Prinze Jr. was there, and obviously during the time that Vince was in charge of a lot of the storylines. I know that's shocking. I'm sorry. I don't mean to ruin your idols.
You're telling me Vincent K. McMahon could have been allegedly racist and culturally ignorant What's next? You're gonna tell me he's allegedly sexist?
Unfortunately, I might have more news for you.
Oh no.
Yeah, shocker. Vince McMahon's not a great guy. Whoops.
Allegedly.
Cat's out of the bag.
Allegedly.
All right, let's talk about some AEW stuff. Or actually, no, wait, one more piece of WWE news. Diamond Dallas Page said that he will not be doing a last match. He does not fucking care.
Oh, good. Enough of these fucking last matches. What was Diamond Dallas Page's last match? I'll look that up while you continue on.
Yeah, I don't know. Page last wrestled at Aew Dynamite Bash at the Beach 2020, teaming with Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall to battle the team of MJF, The Butcher, and The Blade. There you go. Don't have to look it up. Okay. He said, it's nothing I'll ever do. Conrad was like, DDP, you'd be perfect to do one of these. And I was like, nah, bro, I'm good. I have my last match. It's never going to be better than that. I was lucky enough to have all my boys around me, and it was fun. I'm good with that.
Yeah, let him keep doing his yoga.
Dude, I want to do his fucking yoga.
Yeah, same. Let him keep making appearances with like fucking Matt Cardona and Josh Alexander. Make appearances just outside, all over. Enough of these fucking last matches. It's dumb. Someone's gonna get seriously injured.
Yeah. It's so stupid. It doesn't mean anything, and it's a pain in the ass, honestly. And I really don't want to watch somebody actually fucking die in the ring.
And it also
frankly.
it does disrespect to a lot of people's like final retirement matches that were carefully crafted.
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
For the most part, carefully crafted.
All right, on to some AEW news. Hikaru Shida. She's coming back to AEW. And she just spent some time in Wave. And apparently she picked up the Wave Regina D Wave Championship. She defeated Suzu Suzuki at the Wave 15th anniversary show in Tokyo. And apparently she's going to come back to AEW with that championship. So
very cool.
Another title for the completely illustrious women's division that's going on in AEW right now.
I doubt it's going to be defended on AEW TV. Like, how can he carry?
Well, Mark, that would imply that they've set aside time for a women's match. So.
Yeah. But Shida has been on Dark for the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
So it'll be good to see her on TV again, and I don't know. Tony Khan needs like Gail Kim behind him booking the women's division.
Honestly, at this point, fucking put Madison in charge. Madison Rayne is like,
but we don't.
She's at least had the tutelage of Gail Kim.
We don't know that she's like a creative, not creative.
Well,
like
all I'm saying is that she could lead by example.
Right. I don't know. Tony Khan needs to be not the only person booking.
Right.
He needs writers.
Yeah. Also, speaking of women, Tony Khan, he lucked out a little bit. Chris Statlander is out 6 to 8 months, so he will not have to book her. She unfortunately injured her knee, and it's horrible because she was probably next in line for that title.
Mm-hmm.
But she will be out for a hot minute. It's a fucking shame.
Yeah.
But God knows that when she comes back, she's gonna put on a banger, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's also a shame knowing that probably All Out's gonna be Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm again. Would hope that it would be somebody else in that position.
Again?
Yeah, because remember, Tony Schiavone was like, because Chris Statlander's out, Toni Storm, the number 1 ranked, is up against Thunder Rosa.
Great, not again. They've been teaming.
No, remember Forbidden Door? They fought each other at Forbidden Door. It was the only women's match.
Yeah, I remember.
I mean, you've got such an extended roster. You've got so many women who could contribute. Give fucking Willow Nightingale the title shot, for God's sake. Give, like, I don't fucking know. Give anyone that's not Toni Storm. I love Toni Storm. Toni Storm's been doing a killer job on AEW, but give it to someone else. Give it to someone that's not Nyla Rose, not Toni Storm, not Britt Baker.
You'd like to see it.
Yeah. Give it to fucking Julia Hart. Like the new Julia Hart.
Yeah.
Someone who's featured on TV. Or even Anna Jay. Now that she's got a new character. Yeah. I know Anna Jay had a title match, I think pretty recently. I can't remember if it was against Thunder Rosa or Britt Baker, but I know she had one.
Let's just be thankful Athena's back, so that way we can maybe see. I'm not saying that I want to see Jade drop the title, but like at least a competitor that I can believe Tony might give the chance.
Yeah.
I've got one last piece of news. And that piece of news is, as we were talking about earlier, apparently at Wrestle Kingdom, we are going to be seeing some AEW talent. Obviously, it's not clear what AEW talent it will be or what they'll be doing or anything, but we will be seeing some AEW talent, which, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
One can assume Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. will be on that. FTR defending the IWGP tag titles. I mean, last year's, or I guess this year's Wrestle Kingdom had one whole night for Noah versus New Japan. So we might be able to see the same thing, AEW versus New Japan, happen at Wrestle Kingdom, which would be a lot of fun, really cool. But it'll also be kind of weird or difficult to come up with some new matchups that we didn't see at Forbidden Door. Hopefully we'll actually get Punk able to wrestle on it. Because he was injured at Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
Maybe
Punk versus Kenta.
Hangman versus Okada.
GTS versus GTS.
Apparently Punk has no interest in wrestling Kenta. That's what I heard.
I don't give a shit what Punk's interested in. I give a shit what I'm interested in.
Maybe get some Stardom crossover because Stardom was at Wrestle Kingdom. Get some women's matches in there. They were featured pretty prominently at Wrestle Kingdom, and they had some killer matches.
They had one match, but it was a killer match.
I thought it was more than one. I thought it was a couple.
It was one.
Oh.
No, it was the one tag team match, but it was a killer match.
Mm-hmm. They get Julia versus Jamie Hayter or something. I think Julia wants to fight Ty Connie, actually, or Ty Mello, whatever she's going by now.
Don't we all want to fight Ty Connie somewhere in our hearts?
Get a Starlight Kid versus fucking
Despy.
No, Starlight Kid versus Daniel Garcia.
While Despy sits in the wings just like
Despy's
pouting.
in a shark cage. Alright, you want to talk about tonight's Dynamite?
Yeah, let's talk about tonight's Dynamite. While I change the sign, which I do often, for you Spotify listeners out there, I change the sign regularly.
Idro asked Miss Dynamite, was it good? I think it was a killer night. Now that they've got their storytellers back.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad Dynamite. It was a Dynamite that I would suggest watching. I also just think that tonight's Dynamite was very commercial heavy. So there was a lot of, we've been here for 5 seconds and then in picture, and I was like, that doesn't mean anything to me because I'm not paying attention to picture.
In that final match, I think there were 2 commercial breaks that were split by like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
But
there was one point where I like took one note and then we were back to commercial break and I was like, Jesus Christ, did I fucking tap out a little bit or like?
But we have acknowledged before that Dynamite's commercial breaks are very fast. Like they're much faster than Impact's or WWE's. But let's talk about some Dynamite. As we mentioned before, we had the return of Kenny Omega. We also had some tension between Punk and Jon Moxley, which started off the show. Punk comes out. He said, "I don't have a smile, but I have the prettiest belt. I haven't been here in some time, and I have some business to attend to. I want to get the not-so-important things out of the way. There's someone from around these parts that I would like to challenge to a rematch, and I'd love to do it right now in front of you beautiful people. Hangman Adam Page." It's very interesting he called out Page. And that Page didn't come out. Makes me wonder, like, what happened. Like, we didn't see Hangman the entire night. Part of me wonders, maybe we were supposed to get Punk versus Hangman next week. And because, I don't know, Hangman was sick or something, Mox versus Punk was pushed up. I don't know. So Hangman doesn't come out. Punk says, "You want that rematch? You got it right here, right now." And doesn't come out. "That's not cowboy shit, that's coward shit. A little bit of advice, the apology must be as loud and public as the disrespect. If anybody has a problem with the champion, I suggest you come on down. Everybody wants to be the champ until it's time to do champ shit. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand that Jon Moxley has a lot of fans, but he is not number 1 in this ring. I am AEW champion. I know what it takes to talk a big game and say you're the best in the world. I know what it's like to lose, but Jon Moxley has always been number 2. Someone has always had his number, and I'm that guy. Moxley is the 3rd best guy in his own group, and that seems to be a reoccurring thing in his career." Get it? The Shield. Blackpool Combat Club. He said, "I am the best. Mox has been here carrying the torch. I broke my foot. The only person to break bones in the last 6 months is me. It may be my own, but I'm not telling lies. He is the interim champ. Look it up. It means temporary. He's not willing to test himself against his best friend. His best friend is the third best Eddie I've been in the ring with." That's Eddie Guerrero and probably Eddie Edwards. He's the 2nd best Kingston I've been in the locker room with. Kofi Kingston. Tell me when I'm telling lies. I've missed competing in this ring. I haven't defended this title, and I plan on doing that. At All Out, I can't wait to test my belt against Moxley's. Going to Chicago, Moxley isn't even the first John I'm gonna beat in Chicago for the belt. What does that mean? What does he mean by that? Moxley isn't the first John I'm gonna beat. Oh, John Cena probably. He probably fought Cena in Chicago. More insane match. So I think I've watched it. Hold on. John Cena versus CM Punk. I feel like that was Chicago. Because it was Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Rosemont, Illinois. So pretty much Chicago. Oh yeah, Miriam's right, because that's when he took the title and left the arena through the crowd. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I've seen that. So Moxley comes out, and Punk says it's going to take a while for him to get to the ring. I'm going to do some snow angels. And he does do some snow angels in the ring. Mox says, "Look out, ladies and gentlemen, CM Punk is dropping pipe bombs." Doing what he does best, writing checks with his mouth that his body can't cash. You live in a fantasy world. In your mind, you're the best wrestler in the world. Most nights, you're not the best wrestler in catering. You think that mic in your hands is power. This is the real world. It's just a mic. The words you spit in don't mean shit. That belt doesn't mean shit. And to be fair, this belt doesn't mean shit, not until I beat you. I am the heart and soul in this company. Every time I'm called interim, it makes me think of you, and it makes me sick. Punk says, "You can be the heart and soul, I'll be the dollars and the cents." You can tell Punk was trying to go off script a bit and just, improv with Mox, because there was a change in vernacular that both of them were using, and Mox caught on, and he went off a little bit by saying this: we know you came to AEW because you ran out of money. And then he returns to the script. He says, being the best is about heart and soul and guts. We know you ran out of fighting spirit a long time ago. Want to prove me wrong? I don't think you're going to do shit. Punk said, "We have a match at the pay-per-view. If I touch you now, I think you'll just bleed all over me." And then a whole brawl breaks out. It's split up by security. Mox tries to dive over security, but they're split up eventually. We then have an interview.
I just love the "if I touch you now, you may bleed all over me," because at least he gets it.
Mox does bleed way too much.
You flick Mox and suddenly he's bladed, he's bloody, and you're like,
somebody has to now that Cody's gone.
You're right. They've got all those extra straight edge blades backstage, and Mox is like, well, somebody's got to do something with these.
We then have an interview with Powerhouse Hobbs. He said, "I don't need any friends. Ricky, you proved to the world your true colors came out, that you're okay with losing. You parade around like you're God's gift in this business. You hid behind my back because you knew I'd get the job done. I was hired to make sure you stayed champion, and you couldn't do it." But he also, that's kind of contradictory. He says he was hired to make sure Ricky stayed the champion, but he's blaming Ricky, saying he couldn't do it. He couldn't stay champion. But that just implies that Hobbs couldn't do his job.
It's true.
Hobbs then turns around and says, "As far as QT and the factory, I've got something for them too." Then we have Bryan Danielson versus Daniel Garcia, 2 out of 3 falls, the first match of the night.
Yeah. And the match starts exactly the way you would think the match would start, where it's just kind of brutal attacks. Danielson and Garcia just kind of kick each other for a little while. We get some yes kicks and a knee to Garcia, which doesn't slow him down. We kind of go into exchanging some chops. We then get a suplex into a Jujikatami to Danielson, but Danielson fights it, gets out before it's locked in. We then get a big suplex to Daniel, but that's not enough to put him out. Neither is the submission that follows that. Danielson then hits a dropkick through the ropes to Garcia, but it doesn't serve Danielson really because he gets suplexed ringside right afterwards. And then Garcia pulls a little trick out of his hat. Just says a little "fuck you" with the hammer and anvil elbows to Danielson, prior to going into what they're now affectionately calling the Dragon Tamer, which doesn't quite work. We end up going for a pile driver after that. Garcia then gets the first fall because he knocks out Danielson. And then I looked away for 5 seconds and Danielson got the second fall shortly after commercial break, maybe 5 seconds afterwards. Then Danielson puts Garcia in the tree of woe, gets some yes kicks. Then it's a nearly deathly suplex to Garcia. It's a high up on the shoulders, if you will. Then Danielson hits what I thought was actually more convincingly terrifying, which was a missile drop kick that sends Garcia out to ringside. We then transition to pulling each other into the ring post, which is kind of cute because then you see the trading of hand holdings as they go, "Boo! Oh, now it's your turn. Boo! Now it's your turn. Boo!" It's perfect. Danielson is then nearly counted out, but he trucks himself back in the ring. We get a Bazaico knee to Danielson because Garcia is learning, which nearly takes the sweet lad out, but Danielson fights back, gets back to his knees. Garcia stomps the head of Danielson before Danielson turns it around, gets the label lock on Garcia. Garcia wiggles free somewhat easily before being tossed right back into the label lock, and Garcia checks the fuck out. And Danielson wins. And then it gets fun. Then it gets fucking fun. Would you like to elaborate, Marcus?
Yeah. So Jericho comes down from the ramp, and commentary acknowledges it, saying that Jericho has walked away, while Daniel Garcia is like offering a hand to Danielson, and Jericho he starts attacking Danielson, and then Garcia he pushes Jericho away and confronts him. And they exchange some words that we can't really catch, but yeah, looks like we might be seeing a face turn from Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, or a turn of some sort.
Yeah. Maybe
face heel tweener.
Maybe we'll get Daniel Garcia versus Zack Sabre Jr. at Wrestle Kingdom.
That would be a fucking promo and a half.
Yeah. We suddenly find out that Daniel Garcia is a George Michael fan.
God.
And it's a contest to see who's the biggest George Michael fan. So then we get an interview with Swerve in Our Glory and Private Party. Swerve says, "You're welcome, by the way." Isaiah says, "For what? Last week you disrespected us. In case you didn't know, we're number 5. I actually don't know that it's Isaiah. I was looking down my notes the whole time and couldn't tell who was talking. And one of Private Party. Swerve says, Swerve says, y'all have been here for how long, and this is the closest you're going to get to these titles. Keith says, after facing us, you're going to face us, then you can walk your asses back down the ladder. And then one of Private Party says, we're taking those titles back to New York. Tony Nese then comes out to the ring. Apparently he was supposed to have a match, but then Mox storms out and attacks Tony Nese. And he says, say it, Punk. I'm sick of waiting. Let's get this shit over with. CM Punk comes out, security immediately behind him. Not quite as exciting as Seth Rollins sprinting away from security at SummerSlam. God. But they start brawling. It's separated by security. And then it was announced that Punk versus Mox is going to happen at next week. So who knows what's going to happen to lead to All Out, but I feel like if it's anything but Mox and Punk, they're missing out on a build right now. So I feel like it's going to be Mox and Punk and like some weird stipulation. So then we get an interview with Jericho and 2.0. Jericho says, I'm going to give you a pass tonight, Danny. You didn't realize when you put your hands on me. I need to know for sure. Next week I want to talk to you face to face. Whose side are you on? And then Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who was there for to be a guest timekeeper, he says, I watched Garcia and that young kid is coming into his own. Jericho, you're the same guy 14, 15 years ago. If anybody should mentor Garcia, I think Danielson would be the better choice. Jericho says, I haven't liked you for 15 years. Stay out of my business. Angelo Parker gets in Ricky's face and he says, you stay out of this business. And then Ricky just smacks Angelo. Oh, did you notice? Did you notice today? Things felt more cohesive. They felt like AEW felt more together. And a lot of that might have to do with Kenny being back.
There's room to say that. I don't know. But it definitely did feel a lot more cohesive. Ooh, new word.
Yeah, and I feel like it's the EVPs that actually have a lot to do with how the company feels, because when Cody left, it felt like shit just fell apart, you know? Um and now that one EVP returned, Kenny, things feel just a little bit more full.
Yeah.
So then we get the Varsity Blondes versus Gun Club, the Ass Boys.
Let me start by saying multiple things here. Sorry, the Yankee game is just insane. One, I have a really good fucking joke that I've been holding on to for weeks now. And that joke will come clean at the end of tonight. And by that I mean at the end of the matches and promos. Two, I didn't take notes on this match. You know why? Because there was barely room for me to take notes on this match. Griff Garrison got fucking jobbed out. He got fucking murked.
I mean, he's kind of a jobber to begin with.
Well, he lived up to that name then, because he got fucking... he got, if you will.
Yeah.
If it's not clear through my commentary here, Gun Club won and Griff Garrison lost.
Just Griff Garrison?
Well, to be fair, Brian Pillman Jr. was not part of that at all.
Yeah. But after the match, Billy Gunn comes into the ring and says, "That's what gets things done. I am super proud of you two. I've done a lot of really great things in my career. The one thing is working next to you two." And then Stokely Hathaway comes out, same way he did with Ethan Page. And as Billy's distracted by Stokely, the Ass Boys just attack Billy. They attack their own father. Then the Acclaimed come out for the save, and
their father as well.
Yeah. Daddy Ass is saved by the Acclaimed, but man, that was tragic. Billy Gunn being turned on by his own sons.
There's a Greek myth there for you.
Yeah. And I think that we'll be seeing an eventual Ass Boys vs. Acclaimed 2. Probably not a dumpster match, probably a Billy Gunn on a pole match. So then we had a Death Triangle promo. Pac says, "United Empire, little Billy tells me you like to parade around like you're the best Britain produced. I beg to differ. We have unfinished business. I'm looking forward to next week. Mi Familia, we are an unstoppable unit. You'll see how dangerous Death Triangle are. We'll see you in Cleveland." So, it looks like next week is going to be pretty big, with Death Triangle versus United Empire, Mox versus Punk. I don't remember what else is next week. So Jungle Boy then comes out to the ring. He says, "A couple weeks ago, I came out here with a special t-shirt on. It got me into a lot of trouble." What did it say? Like Christian Cage is a pussy?
Yeah, something like that.
For weeks now, I've tried to hit Christian Cage every chance I got. Tried my hands, tried a chair, I even used my car, and he has done absolutely nothing. I would never just take that. The way I see it, either I can continue to chase you until I get my hands on you, or you could man up and face me at All Out. Unless the shirt was right, and you're just too big of a puh. And then Christian Cage comes out. He said, "So you're
like, we can't say that on TV."
He said, "So you're challenging me to a match at All Out, huh?" My answer is no. Things are getting out of hand. We saw when Luchasaurus got himself suspended when he headbutted an official. This is getting out of hand. I am proud of you. Look at you out here speaking with confidence. I had to go home and do some reflecting. Obviously, frustration boiled over when you lost the titles. We said some things and did some things that I don't think either of us meant. I don't want to fight you. I want to fix this, Jack. I want to go on another run. This time, I'm going to take you to the promised land. At the end of the day, we're family. I love you. You're like a son to me. Come home. Jungle Boy then attacks Christian, and they start brawling back and forth before we fade away. And then we have FTR and Wardlow in a promo. Cash says, we chose to stand side by side with Wardlow. He didn't ask for help, but there's no way we're letting him get thrown around by you clowns. Wardlow says, big man, I don't care how big you are. Anybody, everybody gets powerbombed. Dax then says, Jay Lethal, people called you best in the world. Today the best pro wrestler is me. If you've got a problem with the three of us, Jay Lethal, what do you say? So, looks like 6-man tag. I think they're planning for All Out, which is a shame because, I don't know, I want to see FTR in a tag match at All Out. Not a 6-man.
I think they're being very gentle with it.
Yeah.
With the tag belts. I think the FTR are going to eventually get those tag belts. I just think that they're trying to be like careful.
I don't even want like a tag title match because I don't know.
Oh, you just want like a
yeah
tag match?
I just want FTR being FTR. They could be fighting Swerve and Our Glory. They could be fighting the Young Bucks, or they could fucking just be fighting Chaos Project. I just want FTR in a 2-on-2 because it's what they do best.
Yeah, that's right.
Get me fucking FTR versus, I don't know, bring somebody over from Impact. Like, Violent by Design. Get OGK. So, after that, we have Kylan King versus Tony Storm.
Yeah. Kylan ends up getting the side headlock on Tony. She avoids a drop kick, but when she goes for a drop kick, Tony avoids that. Kylan then sends Tony back first into the apron and then the barricade once we ringside. Back in the ring, Kylan hits Tony with a spinebuster and goes to get like a sort of pump handle slam, I guess, or if you're not familiar with any of the words I just said there, a riptide. It was a riptide. Tony ends up, however, getting free suplexing Kylan. Gets the hip attack in the corner, which apparently Tony is now calling Sweet Cheeks music, which I think is fucking hilarious. And then we get a bonkers little pendulum DDT to Kylan for Tony to win, which I like the pendulum DDT. I think it looks cool. And Tony does it really well because Tony gets her entire body in the air for the whole thing. So
Yeah. Speaking of pendulum moves, you know who I want to see show
Clocks.
up? What?
Clock.
Who?
Well, you said a pendulum move, and I said clocks because pendulum.
Oh.
Clock. That wasn't the joke, but if you like jokes, stay tuned because there is a great joke coming up.
But speaking of pendulum moves, I really want to see Hammerstone make an appearance at AEW, even if it's just a small appearance.
I miss that little fucker.
I do too. Alexander Hammerstone.
Is he still the champion at MLW?
Yeah, he's still champ. He's a great wrestler, really great wrestler. His finisher is insane. Give him a match against MJF. That'd be great. Because they're MJF. They're both faction mates.
I don't know who that is.
Okay. Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Oh, gotcha.
Also, apparently, in their promo, Mox kissed Punk. So he's feeling the Effie effect.
Aren't we all feeling the Effie effect? If you can get it, why not go for it?
Alright, so then our main event. Andrade, Roosh, and Dragon Lee versus the Young Bucks and their mystery partner. But the Young Bucks come out. Brandon Cutler hands a piece of paper to Justin Roberts. And the commentators are like, so Brandon Cutler is their third. But then Justin Roberts reads out the paper. And it just goes on and on about like this intro. His favorite candy bar is Charleston Chew. And then when he said North Carolina, you know immediately who that is. That's Kenny by God Omega.
Kenneth. Yeah. great to see him back.
Mm-hmm.
Ass fat, looking good. We'll get into it. He didn't look fantastic, but it's nice to see him back.
He's still got a little bit of ring rust,
there.
but he's what matters is his storytelling, because he's one of the best storytellers in the biz.
I also think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't think he's ready to come back. And it's like, I honestly don't think Kenny's ever going to. Like,
yeah.
Either we see him back and he's not 100%, or we don't see him back at all, and you know what? You might prefer that, and that's fine, but that's just what it is. I think it's one or the other.
Yeah.
And if Kenny wants to come back, there's only so much that the fans can do to tell him not to.
And I mean, Kenny even said himself, he's not going to be 100% ever again. Like, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
But even 70%, Kenny is miles ahead what we saw in the past 4 years. Because he got injured 2017, has been wrestling with vertigo, just horrible joint injuries this entire time. Probably at like fucking 10% or something. So if we're seeing Kenny at 70%, which I think he said that's roughly where he's gonna be, that's still incredible.
Yeah. I can't deny that.
So let's get started with this matchup.
The match! Alright. So Andrade straight up is like, no. Not having it. Not here for it. Didn't sign up for this. We start with Dragon Lee. We get a shoulder tackle that takes Nick to the ground. Nick hits his Lucha Libre arm drag off the ropes. Bucks end up taking down all of Faction. And then Kenny gets in. And it's fucking incredible. We get 10 shots to the head of Lee. He gets Lee on his shoulders. Hits the Death Valley driver. Looks a little funky, but it's fine.
Yeah,
we then get
he was trying to land on his feet like he used to always do. But he couldn't, and he made a little thing of it.
Yeah. Then we get kind of a famouser 2 from Kenny after the Bucks get in. The Bucks end up taking control. Dragon Lee finally tags out. He gets Andrade in. And then Jose gets up on the apron, starts distracting. That allows Rush to blindside Kenny, who's back in at this point. Nick, we go to commercial break, and Nick is in for a hot minute, only for him to he tags out to Matt. Matt gets goes for his triple Northern Light suplex, but Rush comes in, stops the third. And luckily, though, with the guts of the Elite combined, they end up suplexing all of La Faction. We get some drop kicks to Matt from La Faction, though. Rush goes for the drop kick, but fakes out Matt, kicks him. Nick comes in. He gets laid out by Lee. Dragon Lee then drops. What does that mean? Sorry. My note's weird. Dragon Lee tags out to Andrade. We see Kenny versus Andrade. Kenny kicks an intruding Rush, gets him with an enziguri, hits Andrade with a Snapdragon suplex, hits Dragon Lee with another one. Bucks come in, they hit super kicks to Andrade and Rush. Lee then goes for a drag. I love talking. I love saying words and talking about wrestling. Lee goes for a Hurricane Rana on Nick, but Nick catches him, powerbombs him into the corner. In that corner, Dragon Lee meets 2 kicks from Kenny and Nick. Or Matt, rather. Then we get a big super kick party, but that's not enough. Kenny goes for the suicide dive on Lee, but Lee grabs him. Kenny goes for it again. And Kenny can't walk. Or Kenny sells that he can't walk. Lest ye be nervous. Kenny was very clearly selling the fact that he couldn't walk and like he couldn't do this and that.
Yeah.
And then we end up getting Kenny kind of goes for that suicide dive again, but he gets dragged out of the ring by Andrade and I believe Jose and Rush, and he is put on top of the barricade. And then Dragon Lee suicide dives out of the barricade onto Kenny, sending him over the barricade, sending himself over the barricade. They both land ringside, and by ringside I mean in the seats.
It wasn't just a suicide dive. It was a suicide dive neck breaker.
Oh, which is worse.
Yeah.
Objectively worse.
onto the hard concrete, and I was immediately worried about Kenny because I was like, is he about to get vertigo once again?
Andrade then goes up top and Nick grabs him. He gets Hurricane Rana off of the apron by Dragon Lee. And you kind of think that this is where they're going to start turning it around, where La Facción is going to kind of get it. Andrade hits the moonsault off the ropes. He misses it first, but because Kenny rolls away, he luckily gets it a second time. Pin doesn't, it's not quite there. Dragon Lee is then legal. Kenny tries to scurry away, but gets a big knee to the face of Lee to kind of separate himself a little bit, gets the V trigger. Takes his time a little bit. He wants the one-winged angel, but Kenny is kind of weak. He's feeling a little shaky. But then he gets the one-winged angel, and he wins, while the Bucks hold Rush and Andrade back.
Yeah. Yeah. Really fun match. Really great stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Kenny can kind of work his way back up and get back to feeling comfortable in the ring again.
Yeah.
But based on how he was performing today, I feel like it's gonna be sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of what he was doing, selling the I don't know if I can do this, was selling.
Yeah. And I'm sure trios matches are the best thing for him because it means there's more time for him to recover between spots. And he doesn't have to carry the match. He's got the Bucks to rely on for that. And I mean, Andrade is a great person to be working against because the dude's a pro. So he's gonna keep him safe the whole time.
Yeah.
Plus, I think they've worked together a bunch in the past. I know we watched his match in Mexico for the AAA title.
I think a lot of the people that Kenny will potentially have to face, I think he's got good history with, so I think that it's fine. But yeah, I think trios is really best for him right now. It's a good way to ease him back into things. And instead of just a tag match where you've only got one other person to rely on, you've got two other people, and the two other people that you're relying on are a notorious tag team, you know?
And your best friends, too.
Yeah, it's... no worries.
Yeah, and I mean, their next opponents are most likely United Empire, where although Osprey is very fast in the ring, I feel like he's got a pretty easy finisher to be careful with, because that hidden blade, it's
a softie.
Yeah, I've seen a slow-mo of that. It just grazes the person's head.
And also, there's very little room for anything horrible to happen with a hidden blade.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a power bomb or a fucking, I don't know. It's not scary.
Yeah. All right, so you want to talk about the best of the night?
I want to talk about my joke.
Oh, okay.
Are you excited for the joke?
I'll wait.
So, the McMahons. The McMahons they're going through it right now, right? They're probably going to be hit with a lot of lawsuits. Their finances are probably pretty tight, and that's probably why they ended up selling their penthouse in Stamford. But I've got news on where they're moving. Would you like to know where they're moving, Mark?
Where?
A McMansion.
Oh, look, we've been banned by Twitch. Oh my god.
Oh god.
Thank you, Miriam, for the 150 bits.
feel good.
I'm glad you feel good.
Chef's kiss. Beautiful. How does she do it?
All right. Well, now that we're past that, you want to talk about the
Are
best
we
of
ever
the
really
night?
past it?
You want to talk about a promo of the night?
I guess if you want to bring us down a notch.
All right, so let's work backwards a little bit here. FTR and Wardlow's promo is not too great. Jungle Boys and Christian's promo was also not very, that's fine. Death Triangle's promo was fine. JAS's was whatever. Swerve and Our Glories and Private Parties was fine. Hobbs' interview was fine. So that just leaves Punk and Mox. And, I think that was the best one tonight.
I think my joke was the best promo tonight.
That wasn't a promo. That was a fucking match I just went through.
I will agree with you purely because I liked watching Claudio hold on to Mox. I know that was the second promo, and that wasn't the first one, but it was still part of it, and it made me happy.
It's good. All right, let's talk about Wrestler of the Night. Here are 3 options. Ready? Oh, also, before we do that, if you have a question for us for after the best of the night, please leave it in the chat now. We'll get to it after the best of the night. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. We'll get to it in the next one. If you're listening on Spotify, join us at twitch.tv/the Pinfall Podcast to chat with us live. We love chatting with you. We love telling jokes to you. Well, Liz loves telling jokes to you.
I will keep telling you jokes.
And also DM us on Twitter at Pinfall Podcast with any questions you got. All right, Wrestler of the Night. Here are your 3 choices. Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, Daniel Garcia.
Daniel Garcia.
I agree. All right. And finally, let's do the match of the night. I think the match of the night is a no contest here. Although,
there weren't any no contest matches tonight.
Just doesn't end, doesn't it?
Yeah, it never will.
So, although I gave 2 matches the same rating, I think the match of the night's Danielson versus Garcia.
Oh, it was a banger. I will give you that. That was a banger.
Yeah. The trios match was another really good one, but I think Danielson and Garcia was the. Oh, we forgot to mention, we kind of ended on a cliffhanger. So after the match, Andrade's pissed off at losing, so he gives a DDT to Dragon Lee, and that DDT takes off Dragon Lee's mask, which of course is a huge thing for luchadors.
Do you think that was intentional, or do you think that was an accident?
Yeah. I think that was intentional. I mean, think about all the moves all these luchadors go through, and none of their masks come off.
Yeah, I feel like Dragon Lee must have loosened it or something.
Yeah, or we missed Andrade like forcibly loosen it or something. So I wonder if that's where we're gonna go next week or Rampage or something. But I'm liking this because WWE started doing this too. They end on cliffhangers. Get us watching the next week. This shit's fun. Wrestling's fun. It's episodes. Take us into the next one. Alright, so match of the night. Danielson versus Garcia. If you agree, that is.
Yeah.
Okay. Wrestler of the night, Daniel Garcia. Alright, now let's.
Good job, Daniel.
Let's go over our predictions for the G1. Shall we? New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Oh yeah.
G1.
the way you said that, I was like, the G1's already like happened. Like, I don't think we can make more predictions.
We also have to go over predictions for Emergence because we haven't talked about that yet. But let's start with the G1. It's not over yet, but it's over for us. So
For you.
Yeah. So I got basically where we're at right now. I can't win. Neither of us can get any more right in moving forward. So the record, the score is I'm 1-6, Liz is 4-3. You got the Block A winner right with Okada. I got it wrong with Tom Lawler. You got Block B right with Tama Tonga. I got it wrong with Jay White. You got Block C winner wrong with Zack Sabre Jr. I got it right with Naito. You got Block D winner right with Will Osprey. I could have sworn you picked Juice Robinson.
I wish it were easy for me to go back and check. Let me look at my Impact notes if we did it there.
Yeah, it definitely would have been during Impact.
But if you if
I what?
Yeah, I've got no notes on it.
Okay, well,
I mean, but if you wrote it down, I must have said it.
Either way, even if you picked Juice Robinson, you would have still won. You would have been 3-4. But as far as the semifinals went, you were correct in that Okada would win the A and B semi. I was wrong picking Jay White to win that. And with the C and D block semis, we are both wrong. You picked Zack Sabre Jr. to win that. I picked Naito to win that. Really, Will Osprey won. And with the G1 Climax Finals, there's no way either of us could be right because you picked Zack Sabre Jr., I picked Naito. Same deal with the semis. So
ZSJ all day, baby.
So you hold on
right.
to that title. But now let's talk about our emergence predictions. Impact emergence. So we tied. We both went 6-2. Brian Myers beat Boopinder. I got that right. You got that wrong. Mike Bailey beat Jack Evans. We were both right. Chris Sabin and Kushida lost to Violent by Design. We both got that right. Sami Callihan beat Steve Macklin. Both got that right. Bullet Club beat Honor No More. You got that right. I got that wrong. Bandito beat Ray.
That was on your part.
It really was. Bandito beat Ray Horace. We both got that right. Vexed beat Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie for the Knockouts tag titles. We both got that right. Jordan Grace beat Mia Yim for the oh wait, back to Bullet Club and Honor No More. Honor No More beat Bullet Club, and I picked Bullet Club. Jordan Grace beat Mia Yim for the Knockouts title. We both got that wrong. And then Josh Alexander beat Alex Shelley for the Impact World Championship. We both got that right. So it's a tie. Not really much for us to do. Defender wins in a tie, I think. I think that's the consensus we came to. Or it's vacant. No. So we'll see what we do next. Obviously, we've got the trios tournament kind of as our ongoing predictions right now, but the next thing coming up, I think we've got Clash of the Castle. We've got All Out back to back. I mean, unless we want to do a GCW show, but I'd honestly rather not.
I'd be throwing caution to the wind in like the worst way.
Yeah. It would be. Yeah. I'm not seeing anything else for August. There's no more Impact shows. New Japan's Burning Spirit begins September 2nd.
Oh, good. That's what everyone wants to see.
I think that's just like a nothing show, though.
That's their filler group shit before we go into the
Tag League?
is World Tag League next?
I think so.
Where they're probably gonna be like, here's 500 tag teams. It's gonna be like, no one wanted that.
No, I want 500 tag teams. The more, the better. Give me the most entrants in the tournament. But it does look like the next thing is Clash at the Castle, which we will be doing predictions for. We won't be doing a recap of that or a live watch along because it's my birthday. I want to celebrate my birthday. But we'll be here for All Out the very next day.
Yes, we will be.
Yeah, so All Out's the 4th. After that, though, we've got more Burning Spirit. I'm not seeing really anything else to do predictions on. Unless there's an Impact show in here, because I think Victory Road's September. That's just not on Cage Match. Is there a WWE show that's after Clash of the Castle?
I don't know.
Okay.
I am not the one to know.
Oh wait. So after Burning Spirit, it's Royal Quest.
Oh, because they're going to England.
Oh, right. Okay. That's gonna be fun. Oh yeah, Extreme Rules is happening October 8th. That'll be fun. Alright. Cool. You wanna close out the show?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If you tuned in tonight, thank you so much. If you tuned in the future, thank you so much. I'm drinking a soda out of a smoothie. Please tune in tomorrow to watch the Mark show, where Mark will talk about Impact, and I won't be here. I'll be busy going out with coworkers and getting disappointed by the Yankees. So if you enjoy Impact and you find it impactful, watch Mark. He'll be talking about it. In the meantime, Mark, where can they find us?
Yeah, well, tomorrow you can find me, I guess, at twitch.tv/Pinfall Podcast. Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, it's all Pinfall Podcast. I'm at the Mark Cameron. Liz is at Elaine23. And remember, a brand new episode of the Universal Pokemon Federation comes out tomorrow. Huge episode leading to the 2nd anniversary, which will be happening in September. So we got tomorrow's episode, and then we've got September's episode. It is some big stuff is coming, so definitely tune in. It's coming out tomorrow at upfworld.com. Big implications on the line. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow for Impact. Until then, have a great rest of your night and a great start to your Thursday. Bye-bye.